Let me just say this. Somebody asked if I'm a Christian. I think it was Kinyanju. I want to assure you I'm a Christian. I'm a religious person, but this question keeps on coming up severally because I'm of the Quaker faith. And you know, Quakers, when they're taking their oath of office, they never swear by the Bible. So you end up lifting your right hand to affirm. So whenever I would do that in Parliament or at national days, people would say, this man is an atheist. The ones who did not know that that is the Quaker tradition and Quaker style. So I am a Quaker. Now, interestingly enough, I'm here with my friends. But one thing that maybe now I can disclose is that, is this where MIT is? And is this where Harvard is? Now, many years ago in the 50s, before any of you were here, my father was here. And those are the two institutions that he studied in. So for me, it's some kind of homage, pilgrimage, that I've come here to be part of the society and the area where he once stayed and went to school. So when I come here, I come with a lot of humility so that I can be part of this process and know that many years later what has happened. Because even when he was here, I was not yet born. That is how far back it goes. But we are here because the Kenyan people living outside Kenya are now so many, they're in the millions. Secondly, they are so powerful in terms of what they impart through their knowledge, and three, in terms of what they do to help in stabilizing the economy of Kenya. Kenyans in the diaspora today contribute the equivalent of about $2 billion annually. That means if you shut your banks or your wallets, you can cause problems on the Kenyan front. So you are now a society or a community that cannot be ignored in every sense of the word by any regime that comes into place. So how do you leverage on your strength for the benefit of the people of Kenya? Not for the benefit of politicians. But of course, I don't mind benefiting from your leverage. But you have to focus on how you can do it. Because as you are here, each one of you maybe has got 100 people in Kenya who defer to you for guidance in one way or the other. Now, if you're in the millions and you can influence those, then you can start shaping the destiny of Kenya. Why do I say so? Because elections come every 5 years. But the worst thing that comes out of an election is usually if we have cast our vote without thinking. Then 2 weeks later, we start regretting. But you are locked in for 5 years. That's the truth of the matter. And sometimes you can be locked in even for longer than 5 years. So I want to appeal to you that going forward, one of the things that I would seek from you is to help the Kenyan voter. And some of you have dual citizenship, so you can also vote there. To make sure that our people start understanding that an election process is not about emotions, but it's about rationality. That's it. I keep on emphasizing this. It's not about emotions, but about rationality. We must start putting the right leaders in office. We must put people who will be conscious about their morality. We must put in office people who will be conscious about the need to be decent. We must put in place people who will know and respect other citizens and talk to them in a manner that signifies that you are there to serve them. What we have been seeing is time and again a society that has been embracing impunity. A society that says the leader who shouts most, the leader who is more chaotic, the leader that causes the most rubble and havoc is being painted as the leader we want. So we have reached a stage where yule mwenye kupiga kelele ndio watu wanasema huyo ndio kiongozi tunafanya nini? Tunataka. I was asking people, we have reached a situation where in the capital city of Nairobi, as an example, you want water. We all want water. Somehow, water disappears in your taps in Nairobi. But somewhere in Dagoretti, there are several bowsers selling water. And then one day when there's a crisis, you pay 10,000 shillings to get a tanker which delivers water. But the fundamental question is this. As the bowser arrives, people wanashangilia kwamba kiongozi ametuletea maji. But surely, should the water be in a bowser or should it be in your tap in the house? Where do you want the clean water? In the taps. So why are we selling ourselves short? As Kenyan people. Yet at the end of the month, you'll get a bill for water. So you've paid all that, and you don't get your bill there. You don't get what you're paid for. But you're paying on the side another 10,000. And who owns those bowsers? Then you go to the cost of electricity, energy. Very expensive. I can tell you, the cost of production in our factories today is about 40% going to energy. So whether you are a manufacturer or whatever you're doing, about 40% of your operational expenses is energy. How on earth are you going to become competitive if that is the cost of power in our country? How much do you pay for power here in terms of US dollar cents? Is it 6 cents per kilowatt hour? Or how much? How do you explain when a Kenyan is paying 20 US cents per kilowatt hour? how on earth is he going to be efficient in manufacturing, in agriculture? So these are fundamental issues that I can only tell you that if we start making the right decisions, we can start turning the country around. Today I'll not go into the debts as they have talked. Maybe they'll come up again in terms of the questions. Today there's a clamor for a new constitutional dispensation. We have just finished the other one. There are fundamental issues about the Constitution that we have not fully exhausted. We have not even studied the audit report of the Commission for the CIC Commission, the one that was Nyachai's. They did an audit report about this Constitution, and they were a little bit more specific on what perhaps needs to be looked at. Now, there's so much clamor. Quickly amend the Constitution. I can tell you the grassroots question is this. Are you amending the Constitution to create jobs for some political elite, or are you proposing to amend the Constitution because it is going to serve the interests of the country? These are the questions. And we should not shy away from it. We should not shy away from speaking. We should not shy away from saying, even if it is Musalia Mudavadi talking about it, it must make sense. If it is not making sense, for heaven's sake, tell Musalia Mudavadi you're not making sense. Don't just sit on it and keep quiet because it's coming from Musalia Mudavadi. It is the content that we must be looking for, not the faces of the leaders. The content. Don't judge a book by its cover. Don't judge a book by its cover. This is the simple message that must go back to our people. We have been judging our leaders by the clothes they wear. We have been judging our leaders, sorry to say, by the kind of necklaces they wear. Bling bling. I am sorry to say, we have been judging our leaders by the amount of money they can dish out at church functions. But they do not appear on the official register of Kenya Revenue Authority as the highest taxpayers, but they are donating more than Safaricom in churches. This is how we have been going. And we are causing havoc going forward. We have to turn it around. We have to turn it around. And that's why I speak to you and I say, you have a serious role to play. You cannot be ignored. Kenya is a beautiful country. All is not gloom. But I can tell you, we can do better. There have been some positives, no doubt about it. But we can do better. This thing you heard about the dams, it's true. Watu walikuwa wamepora pesa. That's a fact. An audit report has been brought out. Uhuru has stopped one of them, and he has said the other one, both costs were inflated. These are positive steps in fighting corruption. This story of the dams is a sad story. You inflate by 200%, 300%. In some areas, money was allocated for those dams without feasibility studies. There's a classic dam in Marsabit called Badasa Dam. They started construction. Nobody had done a proper geological survey. When the earth-moving equipment went to Badasa, as it was vibrating to excavate, it started sinking itself rather than excavating. It's not a joke, it's true. That is how serious some things have been. So if we were to narrate all of them, we might walk out of here feeling very depressed. But I want to offer you hope. We can do something to create the jobs that you talked about. Jobs for our young people. We can do it. We can settle our public debt or moderate it and have it to manageable levels. We can create a business environment that can make the economy grow even much more than it's growing now. And we can do it by making sure the right leadership is in place. God guiding us so that we think straight, we think right, and we do what is right. That is all we need. And I can tell you, Kenya will be the beautiful place that we know it is. So let us pull together, let us move forward, let us forge ahead. And I'm standing here to say, yes, I am looking for that opportunity to serve you as the President of the Republic of Kenya in 2022. Our team is basically ready and it is growing. And we want members of the diaspora to be part of that team. Let us work together. It is not about revenge. It is not about vindictiveness, but it's about a nation that throws away impunity, respects the rule of law, gives everybody an equal chance and a fair chance for people to be able to bring out their entrepreneurship and their talent so that we can all be a proud nation. You can do it. You can do it. You stay in a country where nobody ever believed that Obama would do it. Kwani Obama alikuwa na pesa ya aina gani? It was not about money. And some of you in the diaspora here, I know you coordinated sections of Obama's campaign here in different parts. So if you could do it for him, why can't you do it for me? Yeah. So this is serious. Nataka usaidizi. Yeah? Na nguvu zenu, na maombi yenu, alafu tushirikiane, and then we can move forward. A Kenya that will be devoid of ethnicity, a Kenya that will make things work. They've been working, but sometimes it can be very painful. When you see the head of state is pulling this way, he's saying we should go this way, and then we come back to the phrase in Kiswahili, kikukulacho kinguoni mwako. So as he's pulling this way, somebody within is pulling the other way. That should not be happening. That should not be happening. So let us create an environment that tutasukuma gurudumu sisi wote in the same direction, but a direction that is good for the people of Kenya. When you're in public office, there'll be challenges. And you can experience some of those challenges, but it's how you deal with them. Do you deal with them honestly? Do you deal with them in the right manner? Or are you acting in good faith? And so forth. Now, I'll give you an example about myself. Many years ago, when I was Minister for Finance, there was this animal called Goldenberg. The biggest scandal that anybody could come across in the financial sector. And for a long time, as an example, but I want to speak to it so that you can understand that we can all fight corruption. When I was Minister for Finance, there was a policy that was called export compensation, which had been put in place by my predecessors. Government policy to assist exporters when they're exporting. And then there was a program of pre-shipment financing. Again, a process to help people who are in the export trade. So the intention was noble, to be able to put in place schemes or programs that can help grow exports for the people of Kenya. Unfortunately, that policy position and the programs it put in place were abused by those who are supposed to regulate them and by those who are supposed to be beneficiaries of that program in a positive way. And this is what became the famous Goldenberg. So, when I became Minister for Finance, what did I do? What you are not told for a very long time, it is usually deliberately hidden, is that the person who stopped Goldenberg is Musalia Mudavadi. That is me. Look at me. I was 29 years old, but I went in there. I understood, I listened, and I realized this scheme was now a fraud. I stopped it. And to stop it was not easy. First of all, I had to close so many banks. If you go back into history, you will realize we closed a network of several banks that were part of the scheme. Whether you want to name them as Exchange Bank, Pan-African Bank, I don't know what, there were many. I don't know whether you people know that I had to sign off and close all those banks in order to shut the theft of Kenyan money. Then I scrapped export compensation. Gazette notices signed by Musalia Mudavadi are available stopping and terminating export compensation. Gazette notices are available of Musalia Mudavadi terminating pre-shipment finance because it was being abused. So people tried to manipulate and make it look like Goldenberg happened because of Musalia. No, I killed it. I'm the one who killed it. Then when I was out of government, there was a commission of inquiry chaired by Bosire and 2 other judges. And for 3 years, the person who killed Goldenberg was subjected to a commission of inquiry as if I was the author of Goldenberg. I was not the author of Goldenberg. I was the terminator of Goldenberg. Then I went through a process of a commission of inquiry, and the report is a public document, and I was cleared. And that report states categorically who are the shareholders of Goldenberg. And Musalia Mudavadi was never a shareholder of Goldenberg. The names are there. And very soon, I have decided enough is enough. So my memoirs are going to come out. And in my memoirs, this time I've decided let the Kenyan people and the world know who are the people who are shareholders of Goldenberg. So that this game can stop. And why do I put that message? And then I was subjected to a commission of inquiry. I did not run away. It's a judicial process so that people can know that we need to move forward. Now, when I say we can fight corruption, I'm trying to tell people that if I was subjected to a process of that nature, then anybody who is prepared to fight corruption in Kenya should also be prepared to go through such a judicial process so that we can all stamp out corruption. We should not be scared. If you know what you're doing is right and in the interest of the nation, do not be scared. But if you know that what you are doing is not in the interest of Kenya, then you have every reason to be afraid. And my friend, then be very afraid. That is how it should be. So we all can fight corruption. We can resource the judiciary better. My colleagues are here, politicians. But when you look at the resource allocation, and bear with me, but this is a statistic that is important. The judiciary has about 500 judges or judicial officers. About 150 judges, I think a few more were recruited the other day, and almost 300 magistrates. So roughly 550. Maybe with more being signed on, there could be more. But roughly we are there. If we stretch it, let's say at 600. But when resources are allocated, and remember the judiciary has about 7,000 employees, the justice system. When resources are being allocated, the judiciary is given about 20 billion or 22 billion. The DPP is given about 4 billion. The Anti-Corruption and Ethics Authority is given roughly another 4 billion. Parliament takes about 46 billion. Now, I don't want to go against my friends here, but Parliament in totality has about 1,000 members of staff. They work through committees, and then they sit 3 days. Is it 3 days a week? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But the judiciary sits Monday to Friday. Sometimes they are called to sit on Saturday. But when it comes to resource allocation, they have been given only 20 billion. The judiciary are still operating manual. They have to write all their judgments, still manually. Now, suppose we took the 30 billion that was being given to a dam with no feasibility study and nobody has done anything, and you add it to the judiciary, give them technology so that now they are all automated, they have their own, you can have all the proceedings recorded and everything so that it's not a manual process. Can you imagine how much lead time you would cut to the delivery of justice? People have been known in the Kenyan justice system to fight for a land case for 3 generations Walianza, in fact, at my friend, I think somewhere in Makueni or Machakos, there is a family who have been chasing a land issue for almost 38 years, I think, until the lady came into the papers and said, what is this? And not even the lady who started it originally. So if we want to fight corruption, are we resourcing our institutions appropriately? I can tell you that if we want to fight corruption, in 2022, we would make sure that the allocation that is going to institutions like the judiciary, like the DPP, like the ethics and anti-corruption, will be sufficient to allow them to tackle issues of corruption without the delays we are seeing today. It can be done. And then make institutions work. So I speak passionately to this and say, hakuna njia ingine. We'll just have to bite the bullet. And then chapter 6 about who are you bringing in your government. It will have to be serious business. You'll have to be very thorough so that you are not embarrassed. We'll have to make sure that you are not operating a state house the way Trump is operating the White House. You know, these are very fundamental issues. Yeah? Hata hapa. Hapa. Yeah? Sasa mtoto wa Trump ndio anasema anaenda kutengeneza government policy ya kutengeneza biashara huko Middle East na nini na nini. Is he authorized to commit the government of the United States? Sasa mambo kama hayo si lazima hata sisi tuzuie huko nyumbani. So that the people who are allowed in law to be accountable, to be accounting officers, to be authorized signatures, the ones who are supposed to run those institutions, be allowed to run those institutions without interference, so that we can make sure that we have the right people in the right place to fight corruption. And with you, we can do this. Tusiogope, because time is running out on us. And if we do not tackle these issues, I'm sorry to say, that Nubian lady who was singing in the streets of Sudan, huko, if we are not careful, tunaweza anzisha maneno huko nyumbani. And we don't want that. We want an orderly state. But I can tell you, if we don't tackle these things that we are talking about here, rapidly but fairly and within the framework of the law, tutaanza kupata shida. Remember, the biggest voter in terms of numbers today is that fellow who is between 18 and 35. They are now the largest bulk of the voting community in Kenya. They are impatient. They are educated. But they are jobless in large numbers. Those people want to see action. That is why I keep on encouraging Uhuru. Sasa, Rais Uhuru, punguza handshake, toa pingu. Reduce the handshake, bring out the handcuffs. Watu washikwe. Asante.